I am John Hansen with your week 2 waiver wire report here at fantasypoints.com. Make sure you keep liking and subscribing. I'm going to be doing a number of videos every single week up on our YouTube page, on the socials. So make sure you check it out. Of course, if you're a subscriber to fantasypoints.com, you probably already saw the very extensive waiver wire report up on the website. I think it's probably the most extensive report out there on the interwebs. This first run at it here going into week 2 was 6,500 words. It included over 50 players and no fluff, just important information, actionable data, and more. If you're not a subscriber to the website, Fantasy Points Data, launching this year, we're charting every single game, every single play, over 700 data points. You can save 25% now that the preseason has ended if you use the promo code GURIFIC25 for 25% off. Gurific, of course, like terrific. Well, 55 players, 50 plus players included in this week's waiver wire report on the website. I'm only going to give you 3 here, 2 wide receivers, and one of my all-time favorite stash and hope running backs, or at least in recent memory, last 10 years or so. Now, I'm not going to talk about Puka Nacua, aka Cooper Nacua, because that was pretty darn obvious. I tweeted mid-game, by the way, that it was probably the biggest day for a rookie that caught us off guard since Anquan Bolden for the Arizona Cardinals 20 years earlier. We did have an inkling, certainly, that Puka Nacua was going to be a big-time factor. We also thought Tutu Atwell would be a factor. Van Jefferson really is the guy who crapped the bed there. But shout out to Brett Whitefield here of fantasypoints.com, because if you read the prospect guide, he did offer up a very ballsy comp on Puka Nacua. And I was in Mobile at the Senior Bowl sitting on the bleachers there when he first said it, I believe. A little bit of Justin Jefferson in the game there for Puka Nacua, which makes a ton of sense, by the way, because you're seeing what Justin Jefferson is doing, basically playing the Cooper Kupp role, and now Puka Nacua playing the Cooper Kupp role. I've already talked enough about Puka Nacua, so let's get into the 2 other receivers that I want to promote here. I am major stands of both players here, especially the second guy that I'm going to talk about. But the first dude that I want to mention is Kendrick Bourne, who was on my target list. I took him off. I trimmed it down, unfortunately, regrettably, but I did make sure to include him way higher on our cheat sheet than his ADP. His ADP was wide receiver 101. We had him at wide receiver 81. If you read my Good Vibes, Bad Vibes article, you saw probably, or you can go back and see, that I said I had a good vibe on a Kendrick Bourne bounce back all year long. He had some other issues going on last year. And he also had an issue of the 2 meatheads who were running the offense, that, of course, being Joe Judge and Matt Patricia. But the year before, coming on over from the 49ers, he was really good. Inside, outside guy, played more inside that year, but he clicked immediately with Mac Jones. And, of course, in week 1, man, he was the guy. Now, certainly no Devontae Parker helped his cause, but at this point, we're not counting on Devontae Parker. Durability, the name is not Devontae Parker. He is now 30 years old. Juju Smith-Schuster has been dealing with a chronic knee issue for a number of years, which is one of the reasons why I've been a little bit of a hater. Kayshon Boutte, hey, my prediction about Kayshon Boutte after I interviewed him at the Combine was he'll either get cut in training camp or break Terry Glenn's team and rookie record for receptions. In other words, this dude's volatile as hell. He had 4 targets in week 1, did not catch any of them, but almost made a play. They do have Demario Douglas, the diminutive, versatile player here, who did show well in week number 1. He's pretty intriguing, but I truly believe that Kendrick Bourne may actually hold value all year and not be subject to the whims of the coaches. And whose turn is it this week? I think they need some continuity, and they're running out of bodies anyway. So Kendrick Bourne, with his inside outside versatility, I think will be on the field a ton, obviously. And I think he has a real chance here with the solid Mac Jones to produce on a regular basis. 6 grabs, 64, 2 touchdowns, 11 targets. That was a 20% target share, 24.4 fantasy points. So not the sexiest pick, but I've been feeling this one for months. And I've been really feeling Rashid Shaheed. If you read my draft plan article at fantasypoints.com, especially the last one that I updated, the last couple of ones, once Shaheed was looking likely to play in week number 1. Remember, he missed a month plus of August and training camp and all that. Once I saw that he was in line to play in week 1, the last update to the draft plan, I basically drafted Rashid Shaheed almost every time because his ADP was so high and we were so much higher than the markets. His ADP was wide receiver 77. I had him at wide receiver 62, and I think like 40 spots over his overall ADP. And while he did, like, the snap people are going to be, I guess, upset that he was only at 54% of the snaps. Pete Carmichael, he picked up on Sean Payton's old tradition. Got to get Keith Kirkwood the ball here. We've got to get him a 34% snap share. But all Rashid Shaheed has done is ball the F out. I went back and I looked in 9 of 10 games where he's gotten 14% of the snaps or more. Rashid Shaheed has made a difference. He has moved the needle. 5 grabs for 81 and a touch on just 6 targets. That was still a pretty good 18% target share. Now, the matchup was great, but as I've said all year with Rashid Shaheed, by the way, last year, 82.4% catch rate, coupled with a 17 plus YPR is pretty darn crazy. He was 3rd in yards per route run behind only Tyreek Hill and AJ Brown at 2.79. Again, he might not be a full-time player with Michael Thomas there, but are we really relying on Michael Thomas to play 17 games, 15 games even? I highly doubt that. And it may not even matter because Rashid Shaheed not only has track star speed, he is very bright, very smart young man, picking up this offense very, very quickly. And the results are obvious. So I'm all about it. League winning type of guy here, needle mover at the very least, especially in a 14-team competitive league. My guy, Rashid Shaheed. Now, the last player I'll get to here in this little abbreviated version of our week number 2 waiver wire is a guy that you cannot count on for week 2 at all. This is a classic stash and hope pick, but I have given this kid mad love from the beginning when he was the best player on the field in Mobile, Alabama at the Senior Bowl for the 3 days of practice. So great that I had to set up an interview with him at the combine. He was awesome. Really liked chopping it up with him. Tajae Spears, the running back out of Tulane. I'm like a broken record with this guy. In week 1, had no expectations, but I happened to see a prop. I don't even know if it's a real prop, but I played it and I listed it over 5.5 yards. And my brain immediately thought, oh, hell, he'll get that on his first carry. And he got 17 yards on his first carry. Didn't do much else, but interestingly enough, Tajae Spears played 4 more snaps than Derrick Henry. I do think the Tennessee Titans could be a dumpster fire. Ryan Tannehill threw 3 interceptions in the game. Will Levis was inactive, so he's a disaster, as no one is shocked by that. And then Malik Willis, although showing some progress, not ready for prime time either, most likely. So if they don't win games, they may just kind of pull the plug and start taking a look at 2024. Derrick Henry will not be back. And of course, if Derrick Henry gets hurt, then now we're talking. So there's a couple different paths here for Tajae Spears. You might be able to start him in a pinch. He's that good. There's nothing on the football field that Tajae Spears cannot do. Not the biggest guy out there. We do have concerns about his ACL or lack thereof in the knee. But again, an absolute baller. So I love him as a stash and hope pick. And you will love fantasypoints.com. We are cranking out the content powered by Fantasy Points data. All kinds of great stuff, all kinds of good nuggets. I had a pretty good week on my props. I don't know what my record is, but I think I was, I don't know, pretty good. Maybe 6-7 picks over 500. So we're off to a good start. So you can use that promo code Gurific25, save 25% off a standard subscription, which is what you can get the waiver wire report using, a premium subscription, which is all the gambling, betting content, Discord, all kinds of other things. And of course, fantasy points data. Good luck on your waiver wire in week number 2. And make sure, again, you keep liking and subscribing for the content at fantasypoints.com.